From Del Rio, Texas, Rob Wade and Robert Garza. Two guys who dive. This episode of Two Guys Who Dive, recorded live Saturday, 20 September 2014. Episode 115, largely the same. And here we are once again with another exciting episode of Two Guys Who Dive. And I'm your host, Rob Wade, and I'm here with...
The elusive Robert Garza.
The elusive is right. So what happened last week, man?
Training, and more training.
Oh,
I was
gosh.
exhausted and sick and everything.
Sick and tired of being sick, right?
Yeah, a little bit of everything there.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, my stomach is still a little nauseated.
Okay, there's in the seat cushion beneath you, there's
a trap door.
There's a barf bag. Go for it. Making
Cool.
some adjustments to the video. Apologize to you folks out there if you're watching live that for the huge delay in getting started. I installed a new version of the beta of the XSplit software, the software that we use for the show, and because the beta just before it really started to be it was more stable. So I was loading this one saying, okay, well, let's give this a shot because there's a lot of features that they've added to the new version that they're working on that I really wanted to take advantage of. Unfortunately, and when I did a test, it tested fine. But what I didn't do was test to see if I could do two tests back to back. You know, where you do a abbreviated production where you flip through everything and then you end the broadcast and then you do it again to see if it works twice in a row. Yeah. It's like those trick shots. Oh, let's see you do that again, you know?
Yeah.
And I should have done that, and I didn't, and I apologize because as it turns out, we were all set to go. Everything was ready to roll, and I clicked broadcast, and we're watching. We have a server over here that we watch what you watch, so we see the delay and et cetera. And nothing. And so I killed the broadcast and then tried it again and nothing. Did it about 3 different times, making a couple adjustments, exited out the software, started again, still nothing. And so finally, when in doubt, reboot.
Yeah.
So I rebooted the machine and that solved the issue. So that was the second bug then that I've discovered. And we've got an invader here incoming. It was the second bug that I've discovered with this update. The first one has to do with screen regions. In the older version that we were using up until this weekend, you can when you're watching the show either live or on Memorex on YouTube, and we show you things like websites, YouTube videos, etc. What we're actually doing is we've got a scene that we can select that shows you a screen region. And I've got 2 monitors here. You see the one in frame here, but there's a second monitor to my right that both Robert and I can see. And I have typically Internet Explorer up so I can have various websites. So if we want to share something with you guys, you can see it. And so they have this screen region. Without getting too much into the weeds, the way this software works is when you select a screen region, it brings up a little X and Y axis red target system, like you've seen in the movies where, you know, like RoboCop is trying to home in on something.
Sights,
You see the thing kind of doing this, get the crosshairs. Well, this does the same thing, but it works a couple of different ways. One way that it works is that it actually, if you move your cursor right over the boundary of a window, it will automatically highlight the border of that window and let you select that. So that way, the convenience of that is very quick. And if you resize the window, then it doesn't, what you see in the scene resizes with it. So there's no, oh, I just resized it right off of your view.
Right.
So it automatically adapts to that, which is a great feature. But there are times where, and I never use this very often, where you might want to just simply highlight an area of your display, just freehand, where you just bring up the crosshairs and you just literally draw the square, expanding it to the size that you want. Kind of like when you're working with photo editors and you can select the height and width. Okay. Well, what I discovered with this latest update is that, checking the chat room here, nobody in there. What I discovered is when you let it auto-select the window, nothing shows up. You see the frame in the scene, but it's blank.
Oh.
It's all black. And if I have multiple tabs, like I do tonight, multiple tabs that I want to select, once in a while you can, like flipping back and forth between the tabs, one of them will pop up if it's just a static image, like a map.
Oh, wow.
But then you flip around some other ones, come back to it, it's blank again.
Blank.
So it's definitely a problem. But on a hunch, I thought, well, let me manually select the screen just around the border without actually touching the border. And that worked.
Wow.
So it so that was the first bug that I found. So I reported that already. So the second one now is that it apparently doesn't let you do 2 broadcasts back to back without rebooting your computer. So I'll be letting them know.
Yeah.
That we're not happy about this. It caused a huge delay. Of course, their comeback will be they have the caveat for the beta testers saying, we don't recommend you use this for your production system. You still use the version 1.x.
Oh.
But the thing is, the only way that we can put it through its paces if we can actually use it in the production. So y'all are our guinea pigs, and I apologize for the delay that resulted from that.
But you're here now.
We're here, and
we're
we're happy to be here. We're hopefully you're hoping that you're happy to be here. Let's see if I'm going to jump in the chat room real quick and just make sure everybody knows it's alive. Huh, different. They check the social stream, nothing there. Okay, so nobody's in the room just yet. So, interesting week. Lots of rain here and there, and the weather's starting to cool off a little bit. It's kind of frustrating the diving a little bit. Movie reviews. Have you seen any movies since last we chatted?
I saw the Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay, how was that?
Actually,
Well, let me ask you this: did you see the one several years ago?
Yeah, I grew up with the original ones,
right.
Which I thought were very well done.
Okay.
This one, naturally, most of it is CGI.
Right.
I actually really enjoyed it. I of course, to me, since I grew up, I took my little boy to see it.
Right.
And he was cracking up with the way the turtles were acting and everything. They were just being real goofy.
So did they play as far as characterization, did they play it similarly, or?
They played it pretty much similar. Of course, Raphael was the one who wanted to kind of, branch off on his own. He thought he was the better one and everything. Well, it's kind of the same thing here.
Okay.
Did the exact same thing, except the story was a little bit different. The way that they became mutants and everything else was somewhat similar. You could see if you paid attention to some of the scenes, they left it open naturally for like a sequel and stuff like that, which I see that coming. But
It's continued to do well in the box office, so I'm sure.
It's still doing really well. I saw it twice, actually, because my son wanted to go see it again. So I said, sure, because I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And it was good. It was very entertaining. I thought it was really well done. Perfect for kids. Nothing too crazy.
The Scooby-Doo movie was, of course, this is going back a couple of years, was good. I thought it generally played true to the cartoon. The one thing that I really was disappointed that they went for the really cheap potty humor. Did they do any of that in this?
No.
Good.
Actually, it was
good to know.
It was really well done. And I'm pretty sure people that have seen it and have taken their kids said, yeah, it was good.
Good.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it.
So you would give it
I'd give it a 9.5.
Wow,
like
nice. A 9.5 from
I
Robert.
actually liked it. It was good. It was really entertaining.
Nice. Okay, well, Tara and I went to see The Maze Runner last night.
Okay.
Gotta say, I liked it. I'm kind of tired of all the movies that are just focusing on the teenager's plight kind of thing. You've got the third installment of the Hunger Games coming up, and you got a number of those kind of movies. You could, what was the one? What was the one with the girl who Divergent?
Oh, okay, yeah,
Divergent, and there was one we reviewed last week that was kind of, I thought, okay, this is kind of in that vein too. Maze Runner, again, sort of, it plays to that, and I think it was actually either written by the book, I think is also by the same person who did
the Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I did like the movie. There were a couple of slow parts. I almost felt like the girl who shows up later in the movie. It was almost like, why do you even have you in the movie? Because she didn't get to do a lot once she was there. She had a nice scene. She had some nice scenes in there, and it was. They just didn't give her a lot of dialogue. She stood around a lot and looked.
Oh, really?
Looked at stuff that was going on. So I was kind of disappointed. Exposure's like all over the map here. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't do more with her or bring her in maybe sooner into the movie. But I understand what it was. There's probably a director's cut where her part's expanded and there's deleted scenes, all that fun stuff.
But I honestly have to say, if you haven't seen the Turtles, you need to go check it out because I know you will love it. It's 150% Microsoft phone everywhere.
What?
Yep. Because that guy Will, what's his name? Will, the one who did the iPhone commercials, looking for an assistant.
Oh, Will. No, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he comes out as one of the cameramen for the.
No.
But he's actually pretty cool. And everything that he does when he's getting texts from, April O'Neil and everything, he has to just bring out the Windows phone.
So they paid some serious bucks for product placement.
Yeah, because there's, when you look in the newsroom, all you see is Windows 8 on all the machines.
Wow.
And they're swiping and everything. And she's trying to take video and it's their Windows phones. They're all Nokia phones.
Okay, that's a little overboard.
Yeah.
As much as I'm a fan of Windows Phone, although I have my reservations about certain things, and same thing with Windows 8, I'm not happy about what Windows 9 is going to be doing. I think it should spread the wealth when it comes to the product placement. I mean, because there's no universe where everybody uses all the same thing.
Yeah, you can kind of see a mixture of different types of phones, in most movies.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, you still see Blackberries in some movies,
That's almost pushing the edge of reality anymore, though.
Yeah. And,
unless it's a government agency, then they are all still using Blackberries.
Yeah. And it's this one was just really crazy because everything was Microsoft. So
that's funny.
Yeah. But it was good. It really was cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Speaking of tech. Oh, so anyway, real quick. I recommend you see Maze Runner. Has one of those endings where you go, oh, come on, really? Did they have to do that? But it clearly set up for a sequel.
Oh, man.
So if this doesn't turn out to be, if the Maze Runner doesn't turn out to be Hunger Games, the Maze, or something like that. You know, if it doesn't
The
turn
Hunger
out to
Maze.
be the Hunger Maze, yeah. If it didn't turn out to be, that should have been the title of the episode. I'll be surprised if they don't do like at least a trilogy off of this.
Oh wow!
Because they really set it up. It is and I knew this was coming. It is a post-apocalyptic world.
You know, speaking about sequels, I see that they're making a Dread 2.
Are they really?
Yeah, and Carl Urban has already signed on, and so has
Well,
the same
since
girl.
he's now freed up because Almost Human got canceled,
Yeah.
which I liked that series. I'm just really disappointed it didn't get more legs. I think most of these networks just don't give the wrong shows too much chance, and the shows that really they should give more chance to, it just frustrates
The
me.
one that's doing really, really well is that one that's kind of like on the edge, where the guy was married and found that his wife was like having an affair, and then he starts having an affair, and then the wife finds out, so then he kind of says, okay, you can go ahead and have your affair, as long it's kind of crazy, as long as I get to watch type thing. I think it's on USA. It's doing really well. I don't remember the name of the show. Of
course it does, because that is playing to the voyeurism of like the 50 Shades of Grey crowd.
Yeah, and somebody was telling me, I can't wait to see the next episode. I'm like, you watch that stuff? And they're like, yeah.
Because they're voyeurs.
I'm like, that's crazy.
You have lots of porn on your computer. That's what you tell those people. It's like, yeah, I'll bet you have lots of porn on your computer.
You know, I'll tell you a story about that, but it'll be off camera and off show.
Okay.
But somebody asked me to fix their computer because of that very reason.
Oh, no.
But I was like, yeah, you know, it happens. You know, you kind of get viruses when you do that kind of stuff. You know, you're.
Yep, it's an invitation.
Well, no, that was a problem. They couldn't get that, so they wanted me to fix that.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
Just update your flash and you'll be fine.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. I mean, I've gotten everything from, can you fix my office? Can you do that? That was a first.
Wow. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to contribute to delinquency of an adult.
I tell them, well, I'll tell you how to fix it, but I'm not going to connect that thing to my network.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You'll infect all of my machines.
Exactly right. So, anyway, speaking of tech.
Yes.
Unless you were under a rock, you were aware that the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus finally started rolling. They had the big opening, and of course, and it's breaking records, as everybody expected it would. I'm shocked that you didn't get one.
I'm always and I'm planning to. The thing is that when I first saw the pictures of them coming out, pictures don't give it depth for me. You know,
Right.
I need to actually see it,
Touch it,
feel it,
yeah.
kind of thing. So I waited until they released them because I knew they were going to have the displays at AT&T.
Right.
I barely went this morning to go check them out and kind of was, playing with them a little bit, messing around. Felt really good. I will get one, but I'm going to wait until all of the little glitches and little things. I tend to do that.
Smart man.
Because when the 5S came out, there were issues.
Yeah.
Waited a little bit, ended up getting mine, no problem, knock on wood. When I did update to iOS 7.5, or I don't know which one of them it was, there was a huge problem with my phone after I had updated.
Just because of the OS, not the hardware.
No, yeah, it was the OS. It had nothing to do, and it was something to do with the fingerprint scanner. They tell me go ahead and just turn the fingerprint scanner off and just use the number code to unlock. And I thought, okay, well, that's going to defeat the purpose because that's why this is one of the selling points.
Right.
You go ahead and get the phone because of all of that. Well, they were real quick to fix it. The update fixed it, and it's been working. Awesome. I just recently updated to 8, and I honestly got to say that I have not had any problems. I'll knock on wood because, things do happen here. But I did experience an issue, like I was telling you, with my iPad. I have an older generation iPad too, and it's going to definitely slow down your machine. I haven't noticed much on battery issue. I know there's been some complaints, and you're gonna address that. But as far as my experiences with it, My iPad is lagging big time now.
And yours is which generation?
The third.
The third one. Okay.
Yeah.
Where they stopped numbering, they just said it's iPad.
Right.
Okay.
Well, no, because there's the fourth. There's the fourth generation.
Because they didn't call it iPad 3.
No,
they just
it's
said iPad.
iPad 2. There's the iPad 2.
There's
iPad 2.
iPad 2, and then the mini, and then just iPad.
Okay, there's 3 variations of the iPad 2. There's the third generation and the fourth generation.
Okay.
So I have the third, and then the fourth one is the one with the Retina display. I didn't get that. So mine is the older one. And like I said, all my apps and everything work great, but it did lag on. You know, I don't like when I tap on something and I see that little hesitation.
Yes,
Oh my
yes.
God, I want to go cannibal on my hand when I see that. I just dislike.
It's a little overboard.
No, I'm serious. It just,
Cannibal.
it's just horrible for me. You know, I don't like it. I like things to be just fluid, and yeah, it bothered me pretty bad.
I understand you. I like my tech to work smoothly.
Yeah,
which is why I was a little more than upset about the fact that this update to XSplit didn't work quite as well as
well. You techs out there, you know what we're talking about
that's
here.
Right.
Okay,
that's right.
So anyway, did notice it. So if you haven't done it yet and you have an older generation of iPad, I suggest stay with what's currently working for you.
Right.
Because if you're not really into those kind of things, you don't notice things like that, then you're fine. Go for it. But if you do and you're like us, who everything's got to be working perfect, stay with what you got.
Okay, so speaking of that, one of the issues, or one of the things that has been noted, that evidently it was much more dramatic this time than with the 5S, is that a large portion of the people who've been standing in line to get the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus turned right around and started selling them on eBay. So I guess especially because the word is because it's been delayed in China, that the black market, they figure, is going to be huge, and then eBay is going to be a way for people to get them, even though they'll pay insane amounts of money to get them overseas. So, so the numbers of folks screaming to get the iPhone 6 aren't necessarily for themselves, as so they could just make a ton of money. It's like buying Super Bowl tickets and scalping them.
Funny, I went here and they actually still had some on hand.
Your what?
Yeah, they had a couple of them.
The 6 or the 6 Plus?
They had the 6 Plus, but they were the 128. So they're the ones that are going to cost you $500. Yeah. So naturally, that's the one that isn't pushing very much.
Let me ask you this. Since you got to feel them in your hand, which one are you leaning toward? The Plus or the 6?
The 6 is the size of the Galaxy S4.
Right.
It's a lot thinner and definitely a lot lighter.
Because it's bigger.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger than the Galaxy S4. But there's some features that I really like on the Plus. Some of it is the stabilization on the video and stuff.
The OIS, yeah. I'm kind of surprised they didn't include that in the 6.
I know, because I don't think they had room for it. So
it's because they're scared to death of the bump. I do not mind the bump on this at all because it's got awesome OIS on it. And I'm like, you know what? Quit trying to be the absolute thinnest. There's a point at which it gets too thin and it's easy to break. If you want to add the features, okay, there's always a give and take.
Right.
I think OIS is one of the things that all of the OEMs need to just start focusing on for their flagship devices. Just add that in there.
So, but that is the size of a Galaxy Note. So, to me, I really liked it. I'm kind of right now, if I had to choose between the two, I'm leaning more for the Plus. But the only thing is, too, I also have to take a lot of things into consideration. One is my profession. How do I carry it around? It's not something I can just put in a pocket.
Because, one of the bass player in our praise team, he's got the Lumia 1520, and that's a 6-inch device. That thing is, now he's a big guy anyway, so it looks more comfortable in his hands. When I hold the darn thing, it's like I've got to hold it. It's like two hands, The 5.5 isn't as bad, but it's close. I've seen them side by side. That's a big,
Yeah, it's
that's a
big.
big device. This
You
is,
know, and I have two. I have a couple of my coworkers that work there, and I mean, they have the Note. They have the Galaxy Note. I mean, these guys are gorillas. I mean, they're huge.
Yeah.
So they have big hands and big chubby fingers. So for them, they need the extra space to be able
just to type.
right, just to type, to text. It works great for them. But for me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Pushing the edge.
But then here, holding it in my hand and everything, I actually was kind of like bending it to see and everything, just to see how sturdy it was and see if I noticed anything. Thing is rock solid.
All you'd have to do is sit on it once, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing. I don't like carrying it in my back pocket.
Yeah.
But I have seen some reviews about it, and some of the people that are carrying it like in their front pocket and trying it out, they're saying that they don't even notice it. However, they are trying it and put it in their pocket without a case on it. So the phone itself is naturally slippery and thin. So if you put it in your pocket outside of a case, I'm sure you're not going to notice that it's there because it's so thin, and even though it is wide. But once you start putting something to cover it, like we put our phones in cases. That
makes a difference.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, my buddy has got the 1520. He's got the version of this case for his, and there's no putting it in the pocket.
Yeah. Right now, I guess right now I'm on the fence. I'm gonna wait to see, but I do like some of the video things that the 6 Plus does, which is kind of now where I'm leaning more towards. Kind of like you, I'm a little behind you though. I mean,
there's certain things that you're really wanting to have in the device. If it doesn't have it, that's kind of the game changer for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My deal now is more taking photos and things like that now. Since it is here, and I'm actually starting to take more photos with my 5S now, and doing certain things, and I like the slow-mo and stuff like that. Right. I took video of my son Brandon today, and it was funny. We were laughing about it, and he, Sandy was like, "What are you doing?" I go, "Your phone does this, what?" And I go, "Yeah, it does that." And she was like, "I didn't know." So just little things like that, and I'm kind of like you now.
Now that's becoming more important.
Yeah, it's becoming more important, and the 6 does it, the 6 Plus, and
especially if you don't want to have to carry an actual digital SLR camera around. You've got near that quality in your hand. Why not use it?
So what I want to start doing is taking more photos, more videos, and then coming back home and doing like a movie type thing, and doing more like a video scrapbook and things like that of just some of my things, my bike riding, and of course, I can't take it underwater, but still, just things, life, and that's kind of what I want to start doing.
Absolutely. So, but beware. People have also noticed if you bought one on AT&T, you got sacked with a increase of the
what is that?
Smartphone access charge to $40 a month.
What is that?
I don't know. I don't care. I'm not an Apple fan at all, and I know that Apple was subsidizing a lot of stuff. And that's part of how they were able to really make it accessible to folks. But I guess that day has kind of reached its end, and AT&T decided not to eat that, and so they said, "Okay, fine. By the way, be aware that you're incurring this $40 a month access charge." I'm like, AT&T, you need to get off drugs. I don't care. I don't care what phone it is. I just think the carriers. I have a problem with carriers anyway. They get in the way of updates. They get in the way of so many things. They throw garbage on They throw this bloatware on your devices. You're my pathway to the internet. You're my pathway to talking to other people. I don't need you to add or take away anything from my device. Just if you've contracted with an OEM to provide devices for your network, then let it be exactly as it came from them. Don't add a bunch of junk to it. Don't charge me extra for this, that, and the other thing. Just give me the device, unfettered access. I'll pay you what it's worth to be able to travel voice and data on your network. don't throw all this extra surprise stuff in on. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that. I thoroughly expect that as more and more people realize the sticker shock, that they're going to react, they're going to explode, and AT&T is going to like, okay, sorry, we'll refund you if you already got billed the $40, and we'll eat the $40. That's what they need to do.
For the rate of their plans and everything else.
Thank you.
The way I see it, you shouldn't be charging me anything extra. I mean, I have to pay just to have my phone be able to tether.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Yep.
I mean, I can go to Sprint and get everything for free,
Right.
The only thing is, Sprint, well, anyway. But still, I mean.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, and then what do you think about this LTE that we have here?
Inconsistent. It would be the best way to describe it. There are times where it's working and it works really well. And then at other times it's like it's on LTE and I'm like, waiting. I don't understand that.
Well, a friend of mine, one of my other coworkers, I was trying to, look at my Facebook.
Right.
Well, at work. And he was like, and he had an iPhone too. And his was like blazing. I'm like, who's your provider? He goes, AT&T. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm standing right next to you, and I can't even get my thing to update.
And because he got there first.
He's eating all the bandwidth. He's eating all the LTE bandwidth. No, when he goes, go into your settings and turn off LTE and go back to 4G.
4G. Yeah.
So then I did that. Bam. I mean, I was rocking. What gives? Supposedly it's supposed to be faster.
Well, I think it's because they just have the one tower. I think that's it. I think because I know once you get to Laughlin, 4G.
Really?
Yeah. You have to get onto Highway 90 to get LTE with any kind of consistency.
I had been traveling Eagle Pass for the last couple of days. Well, more like the last 4 days.
Yeah.
For training this whole last week, and they have LTE over there. Man, my phone was like, I mean, it was like smoking.
Well, let's just hope the AT&T gets their act together here.
Yeah, because, I mean, you should be able to, since you're charging people an extra $40.
No kidding. But interestingly, I was watching a number of the different business shows, and they would talk to people about, okay, so what's the deal with the iPhone 6 Plus? And interestingly, a common thread was that not a lot was added either with the hardware or the iOS 8. And so the mantra that was coming from a number of these folks that I know are normally like huge, Apple cheerleaders, is they've just been calling them largely the same. I mean, that's like kind of the running joke, because they added NFC, which already existed in Android and Windows phones for a while. And what's so funny is watching the actual announcement that they did. They were showing all these features that basically already existed in the other platforms, and it's almost like everybody was like, "Oh, well, they've invented Apple Pay," and I was like, "That's payment over NFC, which existed on other platforms quite some time ago. And in fact, is used heavily over in Europe and Japan. That's almost all they do in Japan is just like tap, pay." Pay.
I think the way that part of that was explained is it's been tried before in the past, but it's just never really caught on. They're
in the U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S. So
everywhere else it's used.
So I think they're trying to think, okay, well, since Apple is doing it, maybe now it'll kind of pick up a little bit. But I guess,
and that was the thing. I was like, okay, now maybe we'll see. McDonald's has started to do that. Starbucks has started to do that. Yeah. I don't know if it's not in Del Rio, but a number of those chains in the United States have started to do that, but it hasn't reached that critical mass like where you can go through Japan and literally nobody carries money. They don't even carry debit cards. They just carry their phone because everything is like tap to the soda machine. Here goes their Coke.
So, and I did see a deal on the U.S. Today. Where Egg Begley from
Mr. I'm Off the Grid.
Yeah. So he actually came out and said that same thing you did. it's a big deal because the phone size has gotten bigger.
And that was the big thing. Is like they needed to do that.
They needed to compete with
Android,
the Samsung phone. Samsung, because they're just eating their lunch. But and to me it was funny because when I saw the keynote, it was kind of like Tim Cook was more like, here it is, you guys wanted it, there it is.
Almost like he was like regretting or not. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like, we didn't want to have to go this way because we liked the fact that you could one hand do all this stuff.
But
because that was their big thing with the 5 and 5S is like it's ergonomic.
But you know what? Here it is. You wanted it?
Quit whining.
There you go. Okay,
it's
now
like
go
quit
buy
whining.
it. Now go buy it.
And they, of course, are in crazy numbers.
But it was funny because when I did see the keynote, they didn't give a hoot about really the phone.
It was the watch.
It was the watch.
But interestingly, I've now been reading, now that the initial, ooh, gee whiz, like they invented the smartwatch, that is not the thing now that's showing that people are like really driving us on their list of things to buy. I guess because ultimately, once they thought about it, for starting at $350, what is it? What are you getting with it?
Yeah.
Especially if a lot of the other OEMs have been or are about to come out with smartwatches that are cross-platform, Microsoft included. The one that they're coming out with, true to their mobile first, cloud first mantra, because they've shifted from the Steve Ballmer devices and services mantra, and now Satya Nadella is saying mobile first, cloud first. They're seriously, it's not Windows first now. It's our services and everything across the board. And you're seeing that. So you see all of the services, all the software that they have is now starting to show up on any platform. And so the big thing that the words coming out from Microsoft, and I'm sure Samsung is the same way, is this is just it's going to be a device. It's going to be a watch. It's going to also do your Fitbit type stuff, all of that. But it's going to work on anything. Wow. Whatever. We just want you to be using our services. And they showed that yet again by turning around and adding another 15 gigabytes basic for the OneDrive in celebration of the iPhone release. It was like amazing. It's like they bumped it up because they saw their competition. They bumped it up from originally when it was SkyDrive, it was 25 gig. Then they dropped it down to 7. But if you were you could get grandfathered into the 25, which I was. And of course, we ended up buying another 50 gigabytes so that we could start storing all our music because everything is going on the cloud for us. But then they bumped it up to 15 gig as far as the basic packaging. You got an extra 3 if you set your phone, regardless of device, no matter what platform, if you set it up to automatically upload your photos to your OneDrive, you got an extra 3 gig. Well, in celebration of the iPhone release, Microsoft said, we'll bump that up to 15. So now if you set up your stuff to automatically upload to OneDrive, you get now a total of 30 gigabytes.
Wow.
Free. It's just amazing. So yeah, they're seriously saying, you know what? The gloves are off. We're going cross-platform. We just want you using our stuff.
Yeah.
We don't care what hardware you're using. We hope that you use our hardware, but we're not in our OS. But we just want you to use our services.
Well, because no matter how you look at it, like you said, I mean, probably 80, I would say, 80% of the world is using a Windows, a PC, a PC. We're already using their stuff, no matter what. So yeah, sure, why not? Let's just sense. We can yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, I really like the way the phone felt. The watch, going back to the watch, not really sold on that.
well,
guess,
as a diver, and that's what I kept telling people, I'm a scuba diver.
Yeah.
This is my watch. I can't see me taking something like that underwater.
The health application that you need to have the phone in order for all these things to work.
Yeah.
Which was like the Galaxy Gear when it first came out.
Right.
Again, pictures look cool, but I need to see it. I'm not gonna make a whether or not I'm gonna
can't
get
see
it.
me spending $350 on a watch that tells me that I need to run more.
Yeah, or you
just
got to
don't
stand up because you've been sitting too long.
I could do the same thing because all of the new Lumias are coming out, have started already to come out with this, and I'm sure that's in the iPhone 6, and I know the newer HTC and the newer Samsung stuff are all coming out with all those special new sensors now built into the device. You don't even need the watch to do it because it's all built into the device. So why do I need an extra thing on my arm when I've already got the thing that tells me? Matter of fact, interestingly, somebody, after all the excitement wore down, went out and kind of did a poll of the Target demo and said, so who's wearing a watch? Most of your millennials, they don't wear watches. They have their smartphone. They get their, and a matter of fact, I happen to be talking to the youth at our church, some of the youth at our church. We were talking about the iWatch or the Apple Watch. And I looked on all the wrists. Not a single one of them had a watch. Not a single one. How do you tell time? Oh, my phone.
Yeah. If you ask any of them, what time is it? They'll reach
get
out and
the phone.
they'll pull out their phone.
Exactly. So there will be a market. These will sell millions, just like the Galaxy Gear sells millions. But I think it's going to be one of those niche products because people have ways that they've already spent a pretty good chunk of money to tell time, and that are coming out now. The new versions are already coming out with the fitness stuff on there, and they could get a much less expensive Fitbit or something like that, a lot cheaper, that will interface with their device already. So if they really want something that's tracking their fitness stuff, they can go a lot cheaper and do that.
Some, like I said, since I kind of started writing and all of that, some of the people that do ride and that I've been talking to, they have all these real cool, what are they called? Adidas sports watches that actually do the heart monitors and all that. You wear a band underneath, and it does a lot of stuff. That is actually way beyond what I want to do. I'm not doing the CrossFit, and I'm not trying to run a 10K or anything like that. I just like to cycle, and trust me, my breathing heavy tells me my heart rate is up. Okay, I don't need something to tell me that I know my body's telling me, okay, you're working out.
Exactly.
Now, one of the things that I've been trying to see is first of all, how durable the watch is going to be, because I beat up my watches pretty bad. I tend to smack it up against something.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm afraid, $300. I'd rather have.
I don't want to be walking around like this all the time, or get a case for my
smartwatch. You're gonna get an outer box Defender case for your wristwatch,
and so it's like this big honking. You might as well. At that point, I might as well go ahead and buy a dive watch.
You know what?
A dive computer watch style.
You know what? I think we just answered the question. The watch is gonna be water resistant, probably dive proof, because we'll just have to buy the life proof, nude case for it, and it'll make it waterproof, and this way we can go diving with, with it. But anyway, so we'll see, because it doesn't say whether or not it's water resistant or anything like that, let alone
it better be somewhat, because if people are going to be exercising with it, you don't want to be sweating all over and find it at short circuits.
Yeah, so I think, what, $350, I'd rather buy myself one of those Luminex.
Yeah.
And I had one and I lost it at the lake. Man, that's just...
You lost it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you just were... Oh, wow. See, I didn't know you
We were doing a night dive, and I forgot it on the dock.
Oh, man. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so, well, the thing is that, I don't know. Anyway, Whoever found it, you're a lucky man.
No kidding. No
So,
kidding.
But I'd rather buy one of those because they're like $275. And that watch can take a beating.
Right.
Anyway.
So, okay. Well, man, that ate up a lot of time talking about just the tech stuff. Because we've had enough rain and just cooler temperatures, it's just frustrated my diving. I haven't been diving in 2 weeks now. And, well, it didn't help that at the end of the scuba class that I taught, I talked about this last week, my compressor sprung a leak, and it turned out to be the second stage pressure valve that's on the condenser.
Okay.
It's set to basically blow. If it wears out, it's set to blow if you exceed a certain pressure in just the condenser, because the condenser is what pulls it removes water from the air as it's being pulled through the system,
moisture,
and so and that's why you get cottonmouth at the end of a dive, especially after if your tank's been filled from a unit that's just had a new filter set into it. So that blew as I was trying to finish the last two tanks. It wouldn't allow, because it was leaking there. I could not fill those tanks past about 2,200 psi. It's like, So I ended up having to contact Max Air in Kerrville and order the thing is this big, $70
Wow.
for that filter. But, I had to have it because there's no way I could fill tanks without it. So finally got that in and installed and fired up what's the lining for? Fired it up and was able to, fill the tanks and all as well. But so I'm anxious to get a dive on. But today today was just kind of interesting because weather was kind of iffy this morning, and I was taking advantage of that to mow the lawn because we had so much rain. Our lawn is very green, and it was getting high, and I said, I've got to knock this out. So the lawn looks great now.
You look like a scene from Little House on the Prairie where you're running in the field, you're jumping.
That's right. Dun 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 dun. Yep, exactly. So at least the dogs are that way. What was so funny is after I cut the lawn, our foster dog, Hazel, thought she had a brand new yard. So she was just like running full speed in circles around there, and because she was used to having to kind of get snagged in the tall grass. Now she didn't have that. It was like on turf. So she was just going nuts, running all over the place. It was crazy watching her enjoy that. So now the lawn looks great, but by that time it was about noon once I got all the weed eating done, and so I needed to start working on show prep because I had done nothing other than had a couple of websites I was looking at to include for tonight. So I didn't get to do any diving. I was disappointed, and probably gonna have rehearsal with the band tomorrow because we got an upcoming gig at the Civic Center October 5th.
Oh, okay.
By the way, so if you're in the Del Rio area, go by the Civic Center on 5 October. I think it starts at 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. Go out there if you want to hear some good contemporary Christian music. Living Water Sound, the band I'm in, we're going to be working with our new drummer. So I got to practice last weekend. Got to practice with him. I got to go back to playing the keys because for a year now I've been playing drums with the band, which is fun. I enjoy, as a percussionist. But I joined the band as a keyboardist vocalist, and so it was kind of nice to get back to that. But it felt kind of weird because I kept having to hey, would you show him how we play? So I'd have to walk up from the keys and sit down the drums and show him the different parts. So this will be our first gig with our new drummer. So it'll be interesting.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
it's 5 October at the Civic Center in Del Rio, Texas. Anyway, last week I showed some pictures of a freighter that was being pushed via a tugboat, which is funny. And I showed the video. It's funny. It was being pushed by a tugboat. Wouldn't it be a push boat?
It would be a
Push
pull,
boat.
yeah, push boat.
Push boat. It's not a tugboat. It's not a tugboat.
It's not tugging the boat. It's pushing
It's
the
not a
boat.
push boat. So anyway, the Kinta S was retired and cleaned up by a company in Alabama. They were actually originally planning to sink this thing off the coast of Alabama. They've been sinking a number of ships to reefs to make the coast of Alabama become a frequent dive spot for folks.
Oh, cool.
Because you got Gulf Coast of Texas, and you've got like Pensacola and the rest of Florida, but you don't have a lot in between.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've been trying to do that. Well, evidently they were working with the Texas Parks and Wildlife, and so they were last weekend. It was on its way to be dropped off the coast of Port Aransas.
Oh.
So they finally got it there. It got delayed a little bit because of weather. Come here. Gotta bring Roland back up. Come on. All right. Say hi to everybody. Okay, don't.
Hey, so.
Don't get her barking. They'll sound really loud on the microphone. So anyway, got some video of them actually sinking it. It's in 75 feet of water, so it's an easy enough dive for even your basic open water. Only about 8 miles off of Mustang Island.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's a easy jaunt out there if you get a boat out there. So let me try out the screen region here, and we're going to show the video. 155 feet. It's about a third of the size of the Texas Clipper that's sunk out there off Corpus.
There she goes. There she goes. There she goes. Wow. That's awesome.
It's funny. We like to break things.
Yeah, I know.
That's essentially what they've done. They broke it.
$75 feet.
Yeah, so that will be a dive that we need to make. Still need to set up a trip down there.
Yeah, I remember we were all excited to get going and everything,
Right.
and then they canceled. And
Well, because we
the-
had the dam break, and so it flooded all sorts of stuff out into the Gulf and made visibility zero. So, for those who are interested, this is a map. So you've got Corpus Christi here. Let me back up the. So you got Porpoise Crispy.
Porpoise Christmas.
We have Porpoise Crispy here, and so there's Mustang Island. So basically, it's about 8 miles off. So if this is a 5-mile scale, so it's not very far off
That's
on
awesome.
Mustang Island. So nice little trip to Corpus, and we could pull that dive off, or do the Tons of Steel, which is Texas Clipper, and a couple of oil rigs.
What would be farther? The Clipper, right?
The Clipper would be further because I think it's like 15 miles off of Port Aransas area, I think. I was trying to see what this other. Oh yeah. Okay. In other news, I thought we'd revisit Goodenough Springs. We had an episode a couple of years ago talking about Goodenough Springs, which is arguably the deepest and the most dangerous
Dive in the world.
dive in the world. It's a spring that feeds Lake Amistad, which course, back before it was Lake Amistad, it was actual spring that they had actual water wheel and all that fun stuff that they got water from. Once they dammed up the lake or the rivers, it filled up, of course, being fed by the Devils, the Pecos, and the Rio Grande, but also the spring.
The spring.
And the Goodenough Springs research project has done a couple of dives out there looking at actually going into it, and they've gone some 500 feet into the cave and not into the spring and not reached
its end
yet. And interestingly, I found some it was new to me. I found some new information based on the 2012 trip done by a different group out of Florida in league with Texas A&M. Evidently, it's connected to Balmorhea.
Really?
Yes. Now, for those of you who followed us, you know that we love going to Balmorhea State Park, which is a 4-hour drive up north and west of here. And it is fed by San Solomon Springs. Well, in 2012, they were doing some. They were, checking out they were diving in Goodenough Springs, and one of the researchers said, "Okay, let's see if we get an idea where this thing actually goes." So they released a non-harmful dye, and 6 days later, it shows up at Balmorhea.
Wow.
So that just shows you this thing goes deep and it goes far.
Yep.
It's part of a huge underground system. And one of the things that they noted in 2012 was that the temperatures for the water here are much warmer than they would have expected for a typical spring, which led them to believe that coupled with the fact that it's connected to San Solomon Springs, that it goes really deep because it's actually being heated by the mantle. So I've got some pictures I wanted to show. They don't have a really good photo gallery here, but just so you can see something here. So here was the 2005 trip in. You see how clear that water is. You see their dive line. And interestingly, if you watch the episode where we talked about our excursion into San Felipe Springs,
yeah,
which I'm sure is part of this system, and you saw the pictures, you saw and we talked about how because of the power of the water coming through there, the thrust of the water coming through there, that it does some interesting things with the rock.
Yeah.
It creates some weird formations, and you see some examples of it here. I mean, look at this.
You never would have. Well, I never would have thought how the water was. They got a bailout tank right there, decompression tank.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, because they definitely had to do decompression stops.
How the rock actually forms. You think water isn't gonna, do anything. It does. That was pretty interesting. That rock was sharp.
Yes, it was.
I mean, that thing was like very sharp. Trust me, I had to get a tennis shot. After that dive. But which was really cool because still, Robert and I were, I think, the second people to actually dive it.
Yeah.
So, because they don't let anybody in there.
Right.
So that was an awesome.
I mean, you see how it carves out and sharpens different aspects of the rock here. And so you're going through there trying to deal with the high pressure of that water coming through there and avoid getting sliced up yourself. Now, obviously, it's when you're in this cave, it's pitch black.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only thing you've got is your lights. It's just amazing.
It's tempting.
It really is. I mean, look at that. Some of it is amazingly symmetrical. And just goes on and on.
Look at the dive line, how it curves.
Yeah.
The current is pushing it up.
Exactly. So interestingly, look at the way look at the way it cuts.
Mm-hmm.
So just to give you an idea what this looks like, let me get down to it. Oh, here's what it looked like before the lake filled up. Turn of the century. There's another shot of one of the divers there. So here's their sketch of what this looks like. So this is the top view. So if you're coming in the entrance here, which is here, so this is the side view. So you're dropping down at about a 30-degree incline.
Yeah. So
And then it drops down, and then but it's fairly narrow. And then you get down to the bottom, and then there's this thing called the fire hydrant tunnel, where a huge thrust of the water is coming through. So here you're looking again from the top, and you come through, and then you get to the bottom of it, and then you kind of go off to the left side. And then there's what they called the layered restriction, where they couldn't get through because it was so tight. And the strength of the water, and that's why it's called fire hydrant tunnel. Because the water is, when it's constricted through there, it's like when you have a fire hose or a water hose, and then you stick your thumb over the opening,
and it's pushing
and
it
it
out.
pushes out. It's like really intense. So this is what it looks like. Now, I'm going to show you a video that one of the guys took. Oh, by the way, the previous video, I need to give credit where credit's due. It's from a guy whose handle on YouTube is JKiller40. So if you want to see that video, just look for JKiller40 on YouTube. But one of the guys he was the photographer videographer for the trip in 2012. He's got video of them actually pushing into that.
Really?
So what you're about to see is kind of interesting. So you're seeing them come through here. So check this out. This is the extreme water flow. So this is them coming in. This is where you could see, that's this part here that you see where the diver's coming through. That is looking up through here. So the diver is probably right about here in this picture, in this first part of the video. Now this is when the lake was way down.
Yeah.
Because 2012 it really dropped. So you see he's got his full tech setup. See the water moving through there quickly. Look at the golf balls.
Yep. I wonder, did they throw them in there?
No, but here's the thing. Let me back that up just a little bit so you can so folks watching can realize the impact here. Drop the volume down just a little bit. This is an incline. That's a 30 degree incline. So those should be rolling downwards because of gravity, because the water's pushing them up. They're staying right where they are. So he's at that constriction that I was talking about. See, and watch the struggle, this guy. This is what we went through. This is exactly how it felt when we were working in San Felipe Spring. Mm-hmm. Especially when I was there trying to get myself underneath this boulder to get chains around it. Watch him. Look at all the stuff he's kicking up, trying to push through. He's not wearing fins. Look, he's having to push against the rock. I know exactly what he's going through.
Yep, we went through it.
And you know he's blowing through some serious air with all the exertion he's doing this. This is, look at all the rocks. I mean, just sheer force is like rocking the camera. Look, he's actually pushing through into So somebody has actually made it through that that layered restriction.
Did he make it out though?
Well, yeah, nobody died in the making of this film, but let's see, giving credit where credits due. That is Kurt Bowen, or Bowen, probably Bowen, who was part of that group that went in 2012 to look at that. He's got some other photographs, stuff like that, but I was anxious to see the video because it was pretty intense. But yeah, that's exactly what we experienced at San Felipe Springs, because the spring is actually coming almost vertically up into the pool area, and that's where we get, in Del Rio, that's where we get our water.
Mm-hmm.
And that is some intense. It cuts the rock like that.
Yeah, I took a drink. I did.
And it's good.
It was fresh. It was unfiltered.
That's right.
Yeah, you see, and that's the thing that, even though, wow, that looked interesting, that is actually a professional diver doing some very dangerous stuff, because those rocks are, there's no telling how the formation of the rock is inside there, because no one had ever been in there. So, if it's anything what we experienced at the creek or here at the spring, that rock is extremely jagged and sharp. So if he didn't sustain some form of cuts or something,
certainly some sprains or some strains, man.
Yeah,
that was some. So you can see he was pushing hard against that rock.
But it's extremely dangerous. You know, yeah, they look cool. Like it did say in the video, an expert cave diver. So. Yeah, don't.
That's, like I said, the most dangerous
cave
and
in the world,
underwater cave in the world,
and it's here,
and it is in Del Rio, Texas.
Who would have known?
That's right. Okay, as we're winding down here, mentioned this last week. Still waiting to hear some details, but believe it or not, the Outdoor Rec Center at Laughlin Air Force Base is looking at getting its own compressor for scuba fills. Ooh. So, which is interesting because I've not received that many phone calls from folks looking for fills, and most of them are from out of town. And I always point him to Mike McCarson there out at Broke Mill RV Park. If you give him a call at 830-719-2935 and let him know ahead, he can fire up the system and make sure he can do air fills for you. And in certain circumstances, I can fill your tanks as well. Usually the penance you pay is I must be able to dive with you. We got to go out and dive because I always bring the rig with me. Got an email from a guy who is out of Eagle Pass.
I got that email also.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. The missionary?
Yeah. So he's looking to do some dives. He's only had one dive since CERT. So that'll be kind of interesting getting him spun up on that and he's looking at maybe getting his advance. So we'll see how that works out.
During my training, ran into a guy here from Del Rio there in Eagle Pass just as well. He's a paramedic here at the hospital. Yeah. Married to a U.S. Marshal. He was like, "Oh, you're a diver," and I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Man," he goes, "I'm certified too." He goes, "I've got my rescue diver." He's part of the, he's got the rapid water rescue certification.
Oh, nice.
So he's been wanting to get things going with the scuba too. And I said, like, well, I got a card of my buddy. I gave him your card. And I said, give him a call because he says that he hasn't dove in years. So he needs to do like a refresher. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, how much? And I go, well, I'm not really sure. Call him up and we'll definitely get you in the water. Yeah. But he wants to, where I thought it was real intriguing, and I was like, yeah, that sounds up my alley. He wants to do like rescue scenarios and stuff like that to hone our skills, and I was like, I'm always down for that. Yeah. So I did give him your number, so hopefully he'll give you a call. But
that'd be good.
Yeah, he hadn't dove in years.
Wow.
So he wants to get back in the water. So
cool.
Hurry up.
Yeah. Well, we can. As a matter of fact, so let's hit some administrivia here. So next dive club meeting, 16 October, day after my birthday. 7 p.m. at Rudy's Restaurant. And we are done with actual scheduled classes for the year. I technically have one at the end of this month, this last scheduled one. But if you were going to do the full class with me, you needed to already have signed up.
Yeah.
If you're one of those who is doing the online portion of the academics with Patty via patty.com, you could still let me know, and I can get you taken care of as part of that class. But if not, we're pretty much done for the year unless somebody comes to me saying, "Oh, we really want a class." And I do have, there are 4 people who have said that they're interested in getting one done before the end, before it gets cold. However,
However,
I'm like, you better get it going, because if it happens like last year, suddenly we hit beginning of October and temperatures started to drop pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, in the meantime, we need to get a Balmaray trip before
we do. Well, it's not really a big problem for us because we do have the gear to do that kind of stuff.
But most students don't want to spend all day, 2 days in a row in cold.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why, trying to amplify what, Rob said. If you're going to do it, you need to hurry up because the water will start getting cold.
Yep.
We don't mind because we can dive. But, and I know Rob's definitely loaded, for Bear to go diving at any time.
Yep.
But if you want to and don't have the gear, you need to hurry up.
Yep, get her done.
Yeah, we need to go to Balmaray.
We really do before it does get cold. Matter of fact, one of my former students messaged me because she and her husband, she got married after she got certified, and they were in Alaska, but I guess they're now back in San Antonio area. And after she got certified, she and a number of her other family, her extended family, they went up to, matter of fact, they went up to Balmaray and had a great time. She said, "Hey, let me know next time you're going to Balmaray." So,
cool.
I'm like, well, I definitely will. The bigger the crowd, the better.
Yep.
So, as a matter of fact, I know that some of my other students, the ones from Kempwood, they're anxious to do a trip there too. So we can just let everybody know. Say, okay, everybody meet up there. So let's actively plan that.
Let's do that. We need to check to see if there's cabins available. I'm pretty sure there are.
Yeah, it'd be kind of, I don't know. They might be. We'll see.
I
have no problem camping though.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, as I mentioned earlier, if you need air fills, your first choice is going to be to go out to Broke Mill RV Park out on Highway 90 West. So if you're coming into Del Rio and heading towards the lake, and you come upon the new loop that goes around Del Rio, and they're currently doing construction to extend it out into basically get it across the Highway 90 into some of the new developments. They're immediately past that on your right. Can't miss them. So check them out. Give them a call. Heads up first, 830-719-2935. That way he knows you're coming and he can make sure the system's fully charged. Because the way Cascade systems work, they fire up the compressors and it fills up those Cascade systems, and then you can then they hook your tanks up, and then you actually are fed from those Cascades. Once they drop below a certain pressure, the compressor needs to fire up. So let him know ahead of time, and he can make sure he gets you taken care of. If you can't get a hold of him, you can get a hold of me, and just check us out on the Facebook page, which is delriodiveclub.com. And you can also keep in touch with us via our website, which is, curiously enough, www.delriodiveclub.com. Fancy that. Send us messages through Skype. Just look for TGWD, which stands for Two Guys Who Dive. So, and if you would like to follow my co-host here, just check out Robert Garza, a.k.a. Scuba Bob. Either follow him on Twitter with RSGarza435, or send him via his new email address, scubabob821@outlook.com, and he will be happy. As a matter of fact, he'll be more than happy. I don't know how you can be more than happy, but
I'd be ecstatic. Oh,
And-
and by the way, it will actually be me sending you the email, not not my assistant.
And oh, that reminds me. And you can follow me on Twitter. Just look for @RobertCFP or send me an email, robert.wade@cetifox.net. Speaking of that, have you seen the commercial with it's the FedEx commercial where the guy is talking to the FedEx guy and he's at his desk and he's talking about the way you can be successful is you must project success. And you see he's got a beautiful view. Oh, it's great. He's got behind him, you see a picture window. He's got a great view of the city. And he's like, this is how I'm able to succeed. I do this, that. And all of a sudden here, and then you look behind him and all of a sudden his view of the city is moving upward and folding because it's a garage door. And his wife is standing in the driveway holding a bag of groceries, and she starts to walk up, and he's like, because he's talking to the FedEx guy, he goes, honey, haven't I told you to please use the receptionist entrance? And of course, she's talking over him as he's saying that. She goes, we don't have a receptionist. And she walks in.
I haven't seen that.
It's great. It's classic. So, yeah. So when you said that, I was thinking, oh, this is what we need. See, we could do that with a green screen. We could do the green screen.
Yeah, we need to do that.
We can have us like, okay, we're doing our show live from underwater.
Yep. Well, we're in a bubble.
We're in a bubble. We're in Cousteau's 60 feet underwater habitat. Yeah. So anyway, that pretty much completes everything that we had on the agenda for this week. Let's see, what is next weekend? This is the 20th, so it'll be the 28th. So we will hopefully are you going to be in town? Are you going to be around?
I don't know. See, because my schedule is going to start changing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we need to have a talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's certain things now as far as training is concerned that I'm going to start doing, and it's going to be really challenging. So I'm trying to dabble. It's not a for sure thing yet, which is why I haven't really said anything. It's kind of along the lines of not sure if I'm going to do it or not.
Oh, gotcha.
So if it does happen, then I'll actually be taking courses Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So I don't know. There's some logistics involved as far as pay. I gotta pay for the course.
Yeah, right.
So I don't really know how I'm gonna do that. I might start taking a EMT course.
Oh, cool.
To get certified as an EMT. The problem is a lot of it is I got to do so many hours of training, and then I got to do the ride-alongs and everything, and usually those are done on the weekends.
You should talk to my friend Nicole Wancho. She is an EMT and was, matter of fact, I had her go through. She went through a refresher course with me. And matter of fact, she just recently we've been exchanging messages on Facebook because she was looking to buy her gear, so she finally bought her some gear.
Okay, cool.
But she could give you some insight to how much fun that was. So.
And and then there's this one guy, the one I talked to, who wants to get do his refresher course.
Yeah.
He is the crew chief for the paramedics here in Del Rio, and he was like trying to coax me into becoming a paramedic. He goes, it's a year with you, maybe a little, just more than a year to get all your training done, and then there's the accreditation and all that. I'm like, dude, I don't want to do that. I don't mind supplementing my income a little bit, but
But that's a whole nother.
That is an entirely different.
It is.
In other words, that's changing profession, but
it really is. It flat out is.
It is, and I mean, I don't mind cross training as far as being an EMT and being in law enforcement, because I don't mind doing that. And then it also helps with my CPR and everything else that I do. But paramedic, I don't know about that. So I'll just wait and say, oh, who's on?
Oh, that is John Bivens, the guy from Eagle Pass.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, so I was really
He
shocked.
He made it on the show.
It on there.
All right.
I should have checked it a little bit more frequently. So, yeah, it's their 17th anniversary. So I'm actually kind of surprised he jumped on there because, we say, well, it's our 17th. I may not be home, so and that's fine.
Yeah.
And I told him Tara and I just celebrated our 25th back in August. But John, glad to have you in the chat room. Hope you enjoyed the show. He says that he thought the videos were cool. That's good.
Yeah.
By all means, looking forward to diving with you, and we'll try and get something going here pretty quick. Well, I would like to get a dive in next weekend if the weather holds. It's supposed to clear up a little bit.
Clearing up a little bit, yeah.
So I hopefully it'll be open up. I'm sure I'm going to end up having a couple more rehearsals with the band before the gig on the 5th of October, but that doesn't take all day. And I'll just tell them, okay, I'm getting a dive in. And I haven't been diving for 2 weeks, and I'm starting to dry out. It's not right. It's not right.
It's like a fish out of water.
That's right. Oh, keeps losing us for the commercials. Yes. See, that's the thing about Ustream. Ustream is a great service. However, in order to use it free, it ain't free.
Right.
So to use it free, they have commercials. We'll try to fix that for next week. Well, no, it's us that have to pay for it.
Yeah.
As
it's part of the streaming service.
Yeah, it's part of the streaming service. You can use it for free.
Yeah.
But when somebody is actually streaming a show, if you want it to be commercial free, you pay. There's different increments of the package, and so you pay for. I think it's too much, but the way it works is you pay a certain amount per month for so many viewers for so many hours. So it's kind of like you're buying time. You're paying for what the advertisers would pay for. So, but once you reach the end of that, it goes back to showing commercials. So if you pay for 9 hours, or I don't remember what the breakdown was. I probably could look it up, but you pay for so many hours, but those hours are eaten up by the number of users. So just as an example, if you have a 30-minute show, 2 viewers are eating up a total of an hour of your time without commercial. So the more viewers you have, the more quickly it uses up your allotment.
Right.
Your
so then you'd
minutes.
have to go with the high end, which is where they sucker you
absolutely,
in.
where it's basically unlimited.
Yeah, and so
I'm like, no, we don't have enough viewership on a regular basis to make it worth paying for anything. So, and we don't have sponsors, so we don't owe anybody anything.
No.
So hopefully. We get to a point where we reach critical mass and can get sponsors, but I have high hopes that we'll expand. But I guess we'll see what happens when we talk about what changes your schedule is going to look like. That may make us have to change the date and time of the show, which is fine. We just have to work out our schedule.
Right.
The beauty is afterward we upload the show directly to YouTube, so you guys can watch it. You can watch it after the fact. And matter of fact, you can watch all the previous episodes. They're all available on the YouTube channel. Just again, go to our Facebook page or our website, and you'll see links for all of that. And I always post it too. I send it out on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. I always send out a message after I finished uploading and say, okay, here's the latest episode. It's available, and I give you a link to it. So you can actually just go right to the latest episode after we've uploaded it. So no issues there. So, again, John, I know you're seeing this, like, delayed.
Yeah.
Probably about a minute at this point. No, you're seeing this delayed. Appreciate you jumping in and commenting. Hopefully you'll be able to watch regularly. Spread the word if there's any other people that are divers that can benefit from what we're sharing on the show.
Yes.
And we interact with folks. So if you're in the chat room and you have questions or you have suggestions, sometimes we get people who answer questions for us because we can't remember something, and somebody will look it up for us and they'll post it on there.
Somebody will just jump on and just answer the question and then log off.
I know. I'm like,
It's
okay,
weird,
thanks.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, appreciate the email. We did receive it. Sorry that you had a little snag there about the dive club issue, the meeting, I guess it was.
Yeah.
But that's kind of something that we're trying to fix. We need more participation, I guess, with
we need more hardcore divers.
Yeah, and there are divers here in Del Rio. It's just getting them out, out of the tree, shaking the tree and letting them fall.
Yeah, we often run into a case where people come in as part of the military, part of the border patrol, etc., and they're divers, but they didn't realize that there are divers here, that there is a community of divers here, and that there are folks who stay here and want to dive, and we're always looking for new people. So there are a couple of folks. Dave Hood, for one, who really likes to get out there and dive. Other than that first time, I haven't been diving at all with the Paradises. That whole family, they came in there. They were like Uber instructors. The husband is a tech instructor, but they're actually selling a bunch of gear. I saw.
Well, you took them out when it was like 40 degrees outside.
Well, no, it wasn't. It was hot, but we had a storm blowing in.
Yeah.
But the water temperatures was cold because it still hadn't really warmed up yet. So the air temperatures were great, but the water temperatures were bleh.
Yeah.
It was bad. I was still in my 5 mil full.
Yeah. So, but pretty cool.
Okay, so John said he's going to try and make next month's meeting. So will we.
Yeah, definitely.
As a matter of fact, that reminds me. We might be at church. We might be changing our rehearsal day for praise team practice. As it stands, we've been going through a number of changes at our church where now the youth service is moved to Saturday night. So I was like, well, I can't participate in that. Yeah. So because of the podcast, etc. And if I'm teaching classes, and and Wednesday night we're actually going to a very, very short, a 1 hour regular service on Wednesday night, which incurs almost no real effort on my part. But so that means that the only rehearsal I actually have now is right now Thursday evening at 7:00 with the adult team, which also the adult team involves our youth. So, but that means that if one of the members now has a work schedule that places her working on Thursday evening, so we might be shifting that to Tuesday, which means that Thursday is more open, both for teaching classes as well as for it deconflicts my Thursday evenings for the dive club meetings.
Right.
So we'll be looking at dealing with all those changes and you having potential changes, etc.
Yeah.
So
we will definitely sit down and put our thinking caps on and come up with something.
And
reliable.
we'll post it on the Facebook page and also
definitely
on the website, if we change the date and time of the show. So again, if you don't get to see the show live, you can always catch it on YouTube. Just go to our channel and check out previous episodes. And, I mean, here we're up to 115. Hard to believe.
Some of the episodes are actually really cool.
Yeah. Need to get some more guest hosts. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
If you're interested, if you're watching either live or on YouTube, and you're in the Del Rio area and you would like to participate in studio in the show, the podcast, let us know. We've got plenty of mics. We can set you up. You get it. It's very easy to do. As you can see, it's very conversational. It's very relaxed. We just slap headphones on you so you can hear what's going on, and shove the microphone in front of you, and we just talk.
Yeah.
Just let stuff go. Let stuff fly. We have an agenda. We throw stuff on OneNote, and we just go down the list.
If I can do it, anybody can do it because I'm extremely shy.
Oh, right. Right. Yes. So timid.
I don't know why people always laugh when I say that because I really am shy. one of the classes that I was at, I had to do a presentation, and they gave me 30 minutes to look at the material that I was going to present. And I was like, okay. So then I looked at it, and they said, okay, the PowerPoint's there. It's exactly what you studied. They gave me the clicker, the little laser pointer, and they said, they're all yours. You know, you get a little intimidated when you walk up to, 31, 32 people in a classroom that you've never met, you don't know who they are, and you've only studied the material for 30 minutes. I was like tongue-tied there for for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how much time did you have to do actually present the material?
I had 5 minutes. I couldn't go over 9 minutes, and I had.
So you basically had to pace yourself through this.
Right,
slides.
and the thing is that there were 9 slides of material that I had to cover in between 5 to 9 minutes. So I was a little tasked with making sure the core of the material was covered. The major good stuff, and trying to go through it really quick. But I only had 30 minutes to study, so I kind of saw some stuff that I felt needed to be addressed. So I jumped around the slides. He knew, obviously, the instructors knew that you don't have a lot of time to study it. So, but I did really well. The comments on my critique were really good.
Awesome.
Considering the fact that I only studied for 30 minutes. And then, the funny thing was I didn't really so much study the subject matter material. I looked at other little things in between that I was able to touch on. And he gave me props for that because he was like, I wasn't just talking out of my hat. Well, he actually said
I'm sure. I'm sure.
But he also said that I didn't also give them any kind of, BS stuff. It was material that was actually in the manual.
Right.
But I was able to touch on things that, most people would just go straight for the slides and read them verbatim. I didn't do that. I was, I actually took the time in those 30 minutes. I did read. So it was pretty cool.
Well, interestingly, when I was in high school, I did that competitively. Of course, we didn't have slides. We actually...
you were on the debate, right?
Yeah, I was in debate. I was on the debate team. Also, obviously, the acting. We did the one-act plays. We did the humorous interpretation, humorous duet, dramatic interpretation, dramatic duet. But then also, and that's more in the drama side, the thespian side. But then for the forensic side, we had oratory. So you memorized you wrote your speech and you presented the same thing everywhere you went. It's just how well you organized it, how well you actually presented it, etc. But also, we did also competitive impromptu, which is you reach in and you grab 3 of the little topics, and you choose from. You have 30 seconds to look at the 3, and choose one of those, and then another 30 seconds to go up to prepare. And then you're just looking at it, picking it, and then you're walking up and you're talking for 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
On that topic. And then that was impromptu, but then we also had improvisational speech, which was more along the lines of you have a 5 to 8 minute speech, but you get the 30 minutes to prepare. Same kind of thing. You pull 3 topics, but you have 30 minutes to research your topic and present it.
You see, and it would have been cool had I had the option to pick mine. They pretty much told me this is what you're gonna do.
Yeah, but you had the benefit of slides to give you some material, so that 30 minutes was actually you got to kind of focus just on that material.
Yeah, I only went and I was going through the slide, because they gave us a handout, and then of course the handout had the pictures with the slides.
Yeah.
So I was able to look to see what was on the slides, and then I kind of read a little bit and then slipped over to the next slide because I only had 30 minutes to study. So it was a very trying 3 days. The 4th day was kind of interesting too. So
Cool.
all right.
So just another thing that we kind of share. That's
Yeah.
neat. All right. Well, that finishes up for today. We're almost 2 hours into the show. Awesome. All right. So, but we did get a late start again. We apologize for that. That was technical issues beyond our control.
We tend to do this a lot.
Yeah, we do. We do because we can. There's no other show following us. It's not like we have a network schedule to follow.
Exactly.
So,
and then we did. Oh well.
Yep, that's right. So we hope you enjoyed it, either live or later on YouTube. We appreciate you paying attention to the different things that we've got out there. And if you have any comments, suggestions, recommendations, please let us know. Send us a message. Post something on our Facebook page. Like our Facebook page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you know when stuff is up there. I mean, I send it out on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn anyway, but it's easier if you get the automatic notifications via those sites. And we hopefully, if everything goes well, we will see you next week on another exciting episode of Two Guys Who Dive.
See ya.